So this week we've been setting up the mule deer. Now mule deer are the most common kind of deer in Yellowstone. They're far more common than white-tailed deer, which are more common most other places, but white-tailed deer are pretty scarce in Yellowstone, whereas there's 1,800 or so mule deer in the park, and that's about a third or maybe 40% of how many elk there are. So they're not as numerous as elk, but there are quite a few to be found, and they are mainly in the northern range where WolfQuest is set. So they're an important species to have in the game now that we're adding animals. And so we've got them set up in the game and working pretty well. So we're going to do some tweaks here now as we look at them. So apologize for the super plain landscape. I had a couple glitches with the pretty landscape, so we're back to this ugly one for a little while. Now, mule deer are not big herd animals like elk are. So you can see those little dots out there. Those are some mule deer out there grazing on non-existent grass. And they live alone or in small family groups. So the does will have 1 or 2 or 3 fawns in early summer, and they'll stay together for quite a while, maybe through the winter at least. And the does will take care of the fawns, especially when they're younger, but even now when they're 5-6 months old in the fall, the does are still there to protect them. So you can see already that the mule deer are jumpier than elk because they don't have the big herd to serve as protection. They know they're much more exposed. So in a big, the big herd animals, each elk is just thinking, look at that guy, look at that guy. And the mule deer don't have such protection like that. So they're a lot jumpier. There's a great book called Wolves on the Hunt by Dave Meach, Doug Smith, and Dan McNulty, all top guys in the field. And it includes hundreds and hundreds of observation reports from scientists observing wolves hunting prey. And very consistent in these reports is they start running at 100 meters away. That's 300 and some feet, right? So what is 100 meters? Let's take a look here. So here we go. Here with these tiny dots. That's when I want a yardstick, I would just make a cube, which is 1 meter by 1 meter, and then I'll make it 100 meters long. So that's the typical distance that mule deer will flee at when the wolf approaches. And so you can see 100 meters. So there's very small. So there's the wolf. Here's my 100 meter stick. And here's some deer just 115, 120 meters away, right? So let's see. There they are. We're going to just trot down along the meter stick. Look at that one on the left, started running already. And these are they were above the rise, but they started running too. So 100 meters away is about what seems like the most common distance that mule deer will flee at, but they're really small. And if I start chasing them, I'm just going full out here, they're fast. And it's going to be, I'm catching up, but I'm sprinting now, which means I'm using my energy pretty fast. I'm going to switch to a regular run, and they're fast, yeah. So, and they're just so small, going to be hard to see. So we're actually going to exaggerate a little bit for the game purposes and change that 100 meter trigger distance, the flight trigger distance, to something a little more friendly for the game. So I'm going to change it. Here we go. You can see this. This is so we had it set at 75. This is the distance score. So the close distance and the far distance were 75 and 100. So I'm going to change it. 30 might be a little close. 40 to 60. Let's say 40 to 60. So now I can get a little closer. They still run pretty soon, but there we go. At least they're in sight now, right? We got a pretty multicolored pattern here now. So the cool thing about mule deer is that they have this antelope-like stot. The gait is called stotting. And it's a lot like African antelope, very distinctive. Scientists have several theories about the stot. Why do mule deer stot instead of just gallop like most other ungulates, especially in Yellowstone? Well, they got several theories. You can't ask a mule deer why it stots. Well, you could ask it, but I wouldn't hold my breath to get an answer. So one theory is that it's good for going through dense brush because they kind of bound over it and are less likely to trip and fall, because that can be very dangerous and fatal to prey. The other theory is that it's an honest signal. That's the term that the biologists use. It's an honest signal of the animal's health and vitality. That because it's got so much energy and health that it can do this stot, which is a more energy wasteful gait than a regular gallop. That it's basically showing off, like, look how strong I am. You're not going to catch me. You're not going to be able to kill me. Just go find somebody who's not so strong and not able to stot. And maybe they're both true. So if you see a mule deer, you can ask it and see if you get a response. I'm trying to catch up to this because it is really cool to watch. There we go. There's a decent view, right? You know, maybe we should add a button for the wolf so that you can go, you can press it and stot alongside as you go alongside the mule deer. Okay, so enough about stotting. What we're really here to do is kill and eat. And that stotting mule deer is clearly too healthy and energetic for us. So let's go after the fawn. So here goes a doe and a fawn stotting away together. You know, I mean, you've heard probably that, 10% of elk hunts in Yellowstone end in failure. And boy, for deer hunts, it seems like it's more like 99%, because typically the scientists observe the wolf finding the deer, chasing after it. The deer run, and the wolf gives up. The deer are very good at just exploding out of the gate there and making distance really quickly. And the wolf says, oh, they're not worth the chase. So most hunts are very brief and end in failure. Some hunts go on for much longer, and certainly trying to go after a fawn. Okay, here we go. Got it. And fawns just aren't that strong. So once you get a bite on it, it's not like the elk that can keep running. The fawn's going to stop. But here, hey, look at that. It's snowing. I guess we got most of the environmental stuff turned off just for this testing, but you can see the snow accumulating on the wolf's back. So you don't see the snow accumulating anywhere else because we got all that stuff turned off just for this development purpose here. And that fawn is coming down in strength for sure. So, hey, I got it. Look at that. It's dead. And it turns into a dead elk calf because we don't have the mule deer carcass yet. So instant transformation on death. And then the mom is like, uh-oh, well, I'm out of here.